Good evening, godless sodomites. It's been a week where Republicans continue to deny reality. Look, you've got to let it go. No matter how much you make your son, Mike, watch Clint Eastwood movies or try to join the football team, it's only making him gayer. That and black people's votes count in a democracy. This is Doom Tonight, third week of November. Welcome to hell.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
It's like, have you ever been the victim of your own success? I thought I'd have time to work on other projects by now. For instance, PlayStation came out, kicked Microsoft's ass. You don't see Microsoft asking for a recount. It's not that hard. You take the L like a man. I miss working at Microsoft. Who do you think came up with Internet Explorer? You're welcome. But hell is responsible for so much more than just the Republican Party. The annoying guy on his cell phone at the airport that talks way too loud on the phone about business. The tan you get from Oakley sunglasses. How your socks get wet when you're finally dressed and go back in the restroom after a shower. Politics are fun, but it's the passion projects that make this work worthwhile. I miss fucking with Pluto. Remember how sad you were when you read Pluto was no longer a planet? Then they said it was, then it said it wasn't again. That was me. Is it a planet? Is it not a planet? I fuck with that place all the time. Scientists found a planet in our solar system that extends beyond even Pluto. They discovered this by studying the elliptical patterns of asteroids orbiting around Chris Christie's waistline. There's no way Pluto's ever going to be a planet again. It's now been downgraded to smaller than Trump's chances of being president. But real talk, Pluto's the size of one of Chris Christie's testicles. That's a planet to me, right? But that's the job. Completely fuck with faith in democracy, Satan says. Do the big blockbuster. Don't let you pursue your passion project, Satan says. You know how long he's been saying that shit? I should have known better than to trust a Hollywood executive. I didn't expect this shit to actually work. It's amazing to me that anybody actually believes this guy. It's just ridiculous. He lies about everything. Crowd, sex, even the size of his hands. Next he's gonna say he's transgender just to deny having a dick. And people would say, praise 45, the dickless wonder. Look at his lawyer. This fucking Caucasian Johnny Cochran right here. Let's check in on Rudy.
Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona.
This is real. It is not made up. What we keep reading and hearing is that we have no evidence. We have no specific.
Giuliani's forehead is leaking so much oil, George Bush tried to invade it. We call that shit Iraq because we ain't ever pulling out. Rudy looks like the fucking Tin Man. Rudy, if you only had a heart. Rudy is actually a robot, it's true. That's why he was reaching into his pants. His penis doubles as a ballot printer. That's where Trump's missing votes were. Rudy has been on a heater for a month, between Borat and the Four Seasons, and Paul Thomas Anderson directing a Daniel Day-Lewis movie on his forehead. Rudy's been on a hot streak not seen since Nicolas Cage and Leaving Las Vegas. But he wasn't even the most embarrassing lawyer there. That would go to middle linebacker of the Trump legal intramural squad, Sidney Powell. Seriously, is Rudy short or does she tower over coastal Japanese cities? Seriously, she's the Lego lost to Rudy's Gimli. I love working with that woman though. She's as insane as she is effective covering tight ends on middle crossing routes.
The massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez. It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked. He was with Hugo Chavez when he saw it operate to make sure the election came out his way.
Yeah, Hugo Chavez rigged the election even though he's been dead for 7 years. Luckily, we have Hugo Chavez's ghost right now to ask him directly about these allegations. Hugo Chavez's ghost, is it true? Did you rig the election?
Yes, totally. It was me, Hugo Chavez ghost all along. It wasn't obvious. I'm surprised nobody figured it out earlier.
How?
I don't know. Apparently, the ghost of Hugo Chavez is a lot smarter than the actual Hugo Chavez, señoras y señores.
Really do tell. How do you even rig the election against Trump?
It was a brilliant strategy that took years of planning, amigos. I went back years and made him an uncanny, egotistical sociopath, slowly eating away any empathy he had for any other human being. That he went back years in a massive conspiracy to get him to pay $750 in taxes, lie about everything including crowd sizes, lock children in cages indefinitely, not attend a coronavirus task force meeting in 6 months, make fun of the disabled, show classified info to members of Mar-a-Lago, get impeached for trying to bribe Ukraine to manufacture dirt on Joe Biden, and yes, generally responsible for the negligent homicide of 3,000 gringos. I mean, it was brilliant. It was a lot of planning. Trump didn't do any of this to himself. It was all me, Hugo Chavez Ghost.
I can't wait to see it. Hugo Chavez's ghost, everybody. The ghost of Hugo Chavez.
Thank you. I'll see you at Putin's next week. Prince MBS is bringing the tortillas ahí para las guacamoles.
That's right, you better. I'll see you there next week. Hugo Chavez's ghost, everybody. Hugo Chavez.
Chao, amigos. Que siga la revolución. Hasta la victoria secret.
I mean, Chavez's ghost or not, the American president and his party are clearly in a coup attempt. It may be brought to you by the maker of Trump steaks and have about the same chance of being successful, but hey, we're playing the long game here, baby, and eroding trust in American democracy and anything that made the world's oldest democracy exceptional in the first place. I mean, other than that, Republicans are handling it real well. Legendary American thespian, star of stage and screen, and Hell's favorite actor Scott Baio is definitely not sad and pathetic, but dealing with this in the most adult way possible by going into Bed Bath & Beyond and rearranging the candles. Excuse me, sir, this is a fucking Bed Bath & Beyond. What the fuck are you even doing, Chachi? I mean, we've made these motherfuckers crazy and people trust them. Look at this dumb shit.
Not only are we raising our voices over this corruption and this fraud, but the ballots are doing the same thing. There are mail-in ballots. Some people in some places receive 4 and 5 of those, and they use 4 and 5 of those. And let's say that they got 4 in the mail and they sent the 4 in. There's 3 of them that are crying out, "Wrong! This is wrong! This is not right! This is deception!" It's crying out.
I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Trump is the president who presided over the election. Georgia's entire government is Republican and says there's no fraud. Before he threw a temper tantrum and fired his own Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, he said it was the most secure election in history, and Chris Krebs, his own head of cyber, also reiterated there was no fraud before he fired him. It's insane people actually believe Trump. It makes as much sense as if you, I don't know, want to believe gay Twilight fan fiction. I mean, it's completely normal for a normal conservative these days to believe there's a pedo ring run by Democrats, that Trump is secretly fighting with some guy named Q, that the previous president was a secret Muslim, that a virus has killed hundreds of thousands of people is a hoax, that massive voter fraud took place while there was a Republican president despite any evidence of the contrary, and just because Trump says it, they believe it's real. I mean, forget Republicans becoming the party of conspiracy, they're way off in fan fiction land, which is good for us, because this actually makes as much sense as Trump fan fiction, which is a very real thing. That's why we'd like to present Donald Trump fan fiction. Oh, that's right. Snuggle up to the fire in your finest of robes and get ready to indulge in only the classiest of erotic fan fiction. That's starring Donald J. Trump. That's right. Here we pick up a passage from the classic story, Donald J. Trump, a pony portal. But I digress. Donald began to caress her breasts and lick them. AJ, a horse, moaned. Donald said, "Do you consent?" Classy, Donald. "Why, yes, I do," said AJ. Donald then leaned in close to AJ's ear and whispered ever so softly, "Your virginity," Donald said, "is fired." That gets me in the feels every time. I mean, seriously, that's like 75% of our library down here. This has been Donald Trump Fan Fiction. America is so desensitized that that were actually to happen, it'd be like 2 news cycles max. And half those articles would be like liberals telling people not to make fun of them. But that's the same PC attitude that keeps Dems from properly criticizing Republicans and standing up for the marginalized communities that need them to call out hypocrisy and blatant lies with active attention and repeated plain truth. I mean, Republicans know there's no evidence for throwing out minority votes, like none. Yet these people give evidence like every high school presentation I didn't prepare for. And we still get people to believe this shit.
Pam, did you just say fake ballots?
There could be.
Where are the votes in a path to 270? Where?
We are taking every legal avenue that exists.
We have people that I can't really disclose that can describe the hardware.
I've got lots of ways to prove it, Maria, but I'm not going to tell on national TV.
We keep hearing the drumbeat of where is the evidence? Right here, Shaan.
You've cited Alaska's proximity to Russia as part of your foreign policy experience. What did you mean by that?
It's funny that a comment like that was kind of made to, I don't know, reporters.
Mocked?
Yeah, mocked, I guess that's the word, yeah.
Well, explain to me why that enhances your foreign policy credentials.
Well, it certainly does, because our next door neighbors are foreign countries. They're in the state that I am the executive of.
I slipped in the OG hot Donald Trump just to see if you were paying attention. I mean, this shit doesn't change. The evidence is thinner than the dye mix running off the sides of Rudy's head. But evidence doesn't matter anymore. It's about community. It's about feeling good. Republicans have strong online communities, trafficking in fantasy. Users share their own art and stories where they shelter themselves outside of reality. Everybody thinks this is really weird, but they insist they're harmless and positive and attack you online while doing so, okay? That's because Republicans aren't a political party. Republicans are bronies now. That's right. Republicans are the political version of this.
By day, I'm a mortgage conveyancer at a law firm. But in my spare time, I'm also a brony.
I mean, that's how weird it's gotten, which honestly may be underselling it. The bronies are probably more normal at this point. Like, be honest, if your kid came to you and was like, I'm a brony, I'd be like, why couldn't you afford heroin, son? Here's a 20. Off you go. Go try some heroin. At least you'd have a chance of writing the Nevermind album. That's still better than having a kid who wants to go to CPAC. Holy shit. I just had a revelation. Comparing college Republicans to bronies is an insult to bronies. I mean, being into this shit is way weirder.
You did everything you're supposed to do, MAGA. There's nothing left for you to do. And now we just get to find out whether heroes are real. That's it. You get to find out whether heroes, whether legends still exist in America. The legend of Donald J. Trump, the legend of Mayor Rudy Giuliani or Sidney Powell or so many others. That's all that's left. All that's left is the hand of God controlling those legends that you've come to believe and trust.
But how do you deal with both these types of people? Easy. You bully them relentlessly. Bullies are needed to restore the natural order of things. Without bullies, there'd be too many bronies running around and it'll fuck everything up. It's like how they reintroduced wolves to Yellowstone and the ecosystem started thriving again.
20 years ago, the willows here were just a few inches high.
Almost twice as high as I am right now.
Some say it's a clear example of what biologists call a trophic cascade, ecosystem effects that trickle down to the environment from top predators like wolves.
How do carnivores, wolves, cougars, and bears, impact plants? They don't eat plants. They do it indirectly by impacting the animals that eat plants. In this case, it's elk.
20 years ago, there were about 20,000 elk in northern Yellowstone, munching up vast amounts of willows and aspens. Since then, elk numbers have been cut by about 3/4.
But that decline in elk reduced elk eating willows, to be simple. And these willows have just shot up, exploded.
But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects.
Since 2014, How Wolves Change Rivers has been watched 25 million times on YouTube, giving wolves credit for creating new habitat for a host of creatures.
Rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers.
And for stabilizing riverbanks, helping fix the rivers in their courses.
So the wolves, small in number, transform not just the ecosystem.
Yes, bullies are the wolves we need to restore our democratic ecosystem. Liberals are too pussy to do the job that needs to be done. People need to know that this shit is weird, and we need bullies to protect democracy by keeping the weirdos in check. For instance, okay, you want to be a brony, fine, but realize it's only meant to be a small part of the social order that you must mock relentlessly so bronyism doesn't infect the population, like some kind of contagion, and normalize and spread to the rest of the population. I mean, have you seen World War Z? That's what we're trying to avoid. I'm just saying a democracy can't function if the whole population pops wood every time they're watching Seabiscuit. You have to bully them. Otherwise, the entire culture is going to want to have sex with horses. I mean, fuck democracy. Either way, it's the same thing. The thing is, it's not even bullying. It's telling the truth as vigorously as the Trump people lie.
We also know that the Secretary of State and the Attorney General have already tweeted out that your legal arguments are rubbish and you're going to lose when it comes to court. So we're not worried about that at all. I'm also not worried about any of your, things are bad so we can't certify arguments, because that's just ridiculous. You certified in August when they were worse. Less than 50% of the ballots were recountable. Now over 72% are. 58% of them were even balanced when it was less than 30% last time. So it's doubled. It's gotten way better because the Secretary of State actually jumped in and did her job, unlike you. But I know it's not going to change your opinion. You talked about not certifying Detroit, even though you acknowledged that Livonia, a city, by the way, I know you know is 95% white, had bigger variances than Detroit, which is 80% black. We understand, and you've now added your name. So I'm not going to try to change your mind. I just want to let you know that the Trump stink, the stain of racism that you, William Hartman, and Monica Palmer have just covered yourself in is going to follow you throughout history. Your grandchildren are going to think of you like Bull Connor or George Wallace. Monica Palmer and William Hartman will forever be known in southeastern Michigan as two racists who did something so unprecedented that they disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of black voters in the city of Detroit because they were ordered to. Probably, I know, Monica, you think Q told you to do it or some other crazy stuff like that. But just know when you try to sleep tonight, that millions of people around the world now on Twitter know the name Monica Palmer and William Hartman as two people completely racist and without an understanding of what integrity means or a shred of human decency. The law isn't on your side, history won't be on your side, your conscience will not be on your side, and Lord knows, when you go to meet your maker, your soul is going to be very, very warm.
Thank you.
Fuck the games. You'd think it would be time for plain truth. I mean, if more people spoke like that, we'd be fucked. That's the best way to defeat us. Just be normal and call shit out with heart. Forget all the bullshit. Forget about cancel culture. Comedy ain't the problem either, or TV shows or movies or music you don't like. Don't worry about canceling comics or movies. They're trying to cancel Detroit. Don't worry about what Dave Chappelle is saying. Worry about what the people who run your fucking democracy are saying. I mean, if you don't want us to take it over. The two who attempted to hold up Detroit's certification were conspiracy crackpots Monica Palmer and William Hartman. Hartman in particular has interesting beliefs to say the least. On November 7th, the day major news outlets projected Joe Biden the winner, Hartman posted on Facebook, "I'm reading the news now and how great things are that Biden and Harris won. What will happen if it doesn't happen once the official results are tallied? I wouldn't sell the farm yet." Later that day, he wrote, "I'm not really one to promote conspiracy theories," and then he immediately promoted debunked conspiracy theories. In October, he shared a link to one of our favorite networks, OAN, where he pushed a widely debunked conspiracy theory that claimed hospitals are inflating COVID-19 death tolls by falsely reporting deaths from the virus. And it goes on. I mean, when Obama was in office, Hartman, of course, shared a series of racist posts about the president that were still online as of Wednesday. And this guy has the power to certify or not certify votes in the blackest city in America. Never in your lifetime should any elected official or party be talking about an American election like that. I mean, that is crazy as shit, but that's how good we are, baby. Again, look at how weird we've made the GOP.
I am struggling why God would allow a Joe Biden and a Kamala Harris to continue to kill babies in this country, why it wouldn't be stopped. You got any help for me here?
Well, it could be that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are a judgment of God on the United States for our sin, for our idolatry, for our child sacrifice.
They're totally weirder than people who list Mr. Ed under interest on their Facebook page. Still, Bronies actually provide us with an important model in understanding modern republicanism. I'm going to let you in on a little chart we use to help orient new arrivals. This is so cool. In fact, this is the Brony scale of understanding Republican politics. Basically, there are two types of Republican political bronies. Now, this is clear to understanding the Republican Party. Republicans are bronies now, and you have to be careful with those people because some of them want to fuck horses. In this context, think of democracy and the Constitution as horses, okay? First, you have your regular old Republican bronies. You know these guys. He talks about Ben Shapiro at college parties and gets in fight about how white privilege isn't real. Whereas a brony likes fantasy in the form of a little girl's cartoon show, a Republican brony likes fantasy in the form of healthcare and economic policy from the Middle Ages. I mean, before Trump, a Republican brony was generally harmless other than the policies he represented, okay? Compare that to a clopper. What's a clopper? A clopper is a brony that likes to dress up like horses and have sex.
Love my little pony, my little pony. I had some discussions with people over our ponies over at the clopping Reddit. We'll learn some things about myself. One thing is that I consider clopping to be an art form. And I consider it to be something that can be classy. Think about Flutterby. Fluttershy gets beeped in the maze. You never actually see her genitals, but you see her humping Discord. You don't really know she's humping Discord until the last moment. You see. That one video had more impact on me than all the pictures of ponies just flashing their vaginas. You see, that's how a clapping video can be classy.
Rather than conspiring to meet for horse orgies in room 39A during the 2019 Denver BronyCon, Republican clappers instead are white nationalists who plan on blowing up federal buildings, killing government officials, and just generally acting like the Taliban. Yes, they are dangerous. Even before Trump, their threat level was Mr. Hands. If you know, you know. That's a serious threat. These horse fuckers are all around strange people, but until recently limited fringe weirdos. That's because before Trump, Republican bronies would call these horse fuckers out as the weird people they are. From Reagan to McCain, Republicans used to call out this weird, hateful, and militant shit in an effort to show horse fuckers that they were not indicative of the Republican Party. Even though some remained secretly sympathetic to horse fuckers, they had the good reason not to say so in public, even in front of polite brony company. That is, until we introduced Daddy Trump. And the whole fucking ball game changed, baby. The horse fucking clappers took the whole movement over. I mean, look at the threat level now after Trump. They're fucking horses in the White House. I know, I've been there with Stephen Miller. But that's not even the most dangerous part. Look at what we've done for the threat level of regular Republican bronies. It's also Mr. Hands. That's gonna be devastating for the future of democracy. Yeah, once normal Republican officials around the country in official bipartisan positions are abdicating their democratic responsibilities and turning what once was a hallmark of America, the unquestioned transfer of power, into a third world shit show. The bronies have become the cloppers, and the cloppers have taken the White House. Yeah, let this burn into your eyes. This is where your democracy is. If you don't want to look at that picture, how about this one? It's one of the most important pictures in American politics. Do you know why? Of course not. We've gutted any real civics education in this country. It's Barry Goldwater, Republican senator, flag bearer of modern conservatism, leaving the White House after telling fellow Republican President Richard Nixon he would have to resign. This picture is democracy itself. Republicans used to shut down horse fuckers from taking over the party and infecting democracy.
We're scared We're scared of an Obama presidency, and I'll tell you why. I'm concerned about someone that cohorts with domestic terrorists such as heirs.
I have to tell you, he is a decent person and a person that you do not have to be scared as President of the United States. Now, look, I
got to ask you a question. I do not I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about. He's not. Thank you. Thank you.
Now they can't even tell somebody who lost that they lost. I mean, Trump has made the entire party his bitch. And there's none bigger than the senior senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Look at what's happened to this once normal Republican politician. Lindsey Graham used to say shit like this about Trump.
I'm not going to try to get into the mind of Donald Trump because I don't think there's a whole lot of space there. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. And I'm a Republican, and he's not. That he's a jackass.
Really?
That he's bringing his name down, and he's not helping the process, and he shouldn't be Commander-in-Chief. If you want to be Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, you need to understand that John McCain and all like him, not just John, are truly American heroes. Here's what you're buying. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. I've been in the Air Force for 33 years. I retired this June. He's the ISIL Man of the Year, by the way.
You're saying he's empowering the enemy.
Yes.
You draw a direct line between his rhetoric and what, recruitment for ISIS?
Yeah, they use that to turn the region against us.
What is your reaction to hearing what Donald Trump says?
I'm disgusted. Well, I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy. And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
Then literally, he went golfing with him one day, and Trump must be the most charming motherfucker of all time. Because all of a sudden, old Ladybugs was magically like this.
No, I don't think he's a xenophobic, race-baiting, religious bigot. You know what concerns me about the American press is this endless attempt to label the guy as some kind of kook, not fit to be president. I'm going to try to help our president, Donald Trump, be as successful as possible. Because, number one, I agree with him mostly.
It's not just Lindsey Graham. It's state officials in Michigan. It's Republican congressmen and senators. It's Ronna Romney McDaniel, chair of the Republican National Committee and niece of Mitt Romney, who took the Romney out of her name because it pissed off Donald Trump and he requested she stopped using it. What the fuck? So she's just Rhonda McDaniel now.
The Washington Post reports President Trump had a request. Would she be willing to stop using her middle name publicly? Trump followed up by saying in a lighthearted way that McDaniel, the niece of Mitt Romney, could do what she wanted, according to two people familiar with the comments. But the change was soon plain for all to see. Though she had used her maiden name for years in Michigan, where, of course, her grandfather had been governor, McDaniel dropped Romney from most official party communications and has rarely used it since.
Joining us now to discuss is Ronna McDaniel, Republican National Committee Chairwoman.
Ronna McDaniel, thank you very much.
Ronna McDaniel.
Ronna McDaniel.
Ronna McDaniel.
Ronna McDaniel, GOP Chairwoman. Ronna McDaniel, thanks so much.
I mean, that's beyond weird. She's the head of the GOP and has literally changed her identity because Trump doesn't like her uncle Mitt Romney. I mean, she might as well change her name to Rhonda I'm a horsefucker McDaniel because that's what she is. She fucks horses now. Republicans have quit calling out their cloppers. It's up to Republicans to now disavow extremists in their party. If they don't, it's quiet support for anti-democratic and anti-American sentiment. But hey, take it from Fox.
There's a huge problem in the
Republican
world.
That they hate us, they want to kill us.
Why do I have to pat on the back every
Republican
that doesn't want to kill me? I expect that.
Of our population,
we're not talking about
Republicans.
We're talking about
cloppers.
Stop conflating them together. Stop broad brushing.
Republicans.
It's all
cloppers.
How do you fix that infection? I mean, because it seems to me that you'd have to fix it from within
The GOP.
These
Republican
extremists motivated by a belief
in their God to kill us and sometimes themselves.
Instead, Republicans stood by in silence as he tried to ethnic cleanse votes in Wayne County that happened to include the blackest city in America. I mean, Trump owns these bitches. Lindsey Graham was caught asking officials in Georgia if they could find votes to throw out. I mean, what happened to that guy? Trump could grab Lindsey Graham by the pussy and tell him it's a mammogram, and Lindsey would be like, "Do you feel any lumps, Mr. President?" Yeah, to where your balls should be. Listen to how this stupid motherfucker talks now.
And one of the reasons you can say with confidence that you think Brown versus Board of Education is super precedent is that you're not aware of any effort to go back to the good old days of segregation.
The good old days of segregation. And of course, Lindsey's not happy with a single. He wants to hit extra bases.
Yeah. I want every young woman to know there's a place for you in America if you're pro-life. Yeah. If you embrace your religion. And you follow traditional family structure.
Ah, Lindsey, how'd you find the time to be a senator with all those pies that need a coolant on the windowsill? That's crazy shit. They're even attempting to decertify the vote in an attempt to throw the election to the House of Representatives, where Republicans control enough state legislatures to elect Trump. If that's not crazy enough, 2 Republicans in charge of state certification were summoned to the White House ahead of certification next week. Not only that, here are Republican responses to the very question of overthrowing the will of Michigan voters. And again, these are real Michigan state officials. They're talking about democracy here. No comment on that. I'd have to take a look at the situation of overthrowing democracy. Pete Lucido said he doesn't have anything to say about the most nefarious plot in modern American history. Hell, the party itself in the 14th district wrote up a document declaring their plans to enshrine an emperor in America. I mean, we've turned one party from a party into actually undergoing the machinations of a coup. It's not just fucking hilarious, it's plainly anti-democratic, which means we made the majority of a party in a country with a 2-party system anti-democratic. Let me show you how democracy used to look before there was right-wing media like Fox News, and your parents sucked that and shittily sourced articles from Facebook and more than there are supposed freckles on Lindsey Graham's penis.
And while our communication should always deal with current issues of importance, it must never stray far from our national commitment to battle against discrimination and increase our knowledge of each other. A few isolated groups in the backwater of American life still hold perverted notions of what America is all about. Recently, in some places in the nation, there's been a disturbing reoccurrence of bigotry and violence. If I may, from the platform of this organization, known for its tolerance, I would like to address a few remarks to those groups who still adhere to senseless racism and religious prejudice. To those individuals who persist in such hateful behavior, if I were speaking to them instead of to you, I would say to them, you are the ones who are out of step with our society. You are the ones who willfully violate the meaning of the dream that is America. And this country, because of what it stands for, will not stand for your conduct.
Hey, Ladybugs isn't just a forgotten classic, starring Jonathan Brandis as a dominant transgender athlete and Rodney Dangerfield as Rodney Dangerfield. Just Google it. And after that, Google the meaning of Santorum and make sure you're eating while you do. America is so fucked. I mean, you guys are seriously lucky I ran out of storylines for 2020. No, I'm serious. We ran through them too quickly, like the first season of Narcos. All I'm saying is Pablo running for office should have been its own season, okay? But to be fair, we fuck up too. The murder hornets were supposed to be way cooler. We should have given them much more play. But speaking of dropped storylines and believing in fantasy, I've run out of storylines for the rest of the year, so fuck it. I don't get paid enough. I'm going with Game of some Dragons just to see if conservatives will believe it. I mean, it was one of the lost storylines from season 8 of Game of Thrones. These guys thought Game of some Dragons would make too much sense and would end up really upping the quality of the final season. So fuck it, I'll just recycle it and use it for Fox. No, excuse me, let let me put on my serious face. I mean, why did so many gay Muslim dragons destroy so many ballots for Donald Trump? Oh shit, it's better than I thought. That shit'll be on Fox and Newsmax before the end of the nice news cycle. And it'll work. You know why? Because it's fantasy. And bronies love fantasy. I mean, it doesn't make any less sense than the shit they already believe. The only hope that you guys have is if the GOP starts to call out their horse fuckers again. If they don't, sleeping with horse people gets normalized. And that's how you end up in a weird BoJack Horseman world where everybody's sleeping with horses. And nobody wants that except for Sarah Jessica Parker's husband. This has been Doom Tonight. Hit the subscribe button if you know what's good for you. Make sure you go to plenty of bars and restaurants. Seriously, go. That COVID kills, unlike James Corden. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next week.